Hello, yellow couches. Welcome to today's episode. It's a good one today. We're going to be talking about industrialization and setting up a factory and a business here in Tanzania for a multinational company. So with me today is the perfect guest to discuss this. We have Mr. Dennis Ott, the country manager of Sika Tanzania Construction Chemicals. So welcome to the couch. How are you today?
Very good. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you for being here. I think it's amazing to have someone like yourself here from Sika, a major player in the industrialization drive in Tanzania. Can you please share a little bit about the company for the benefit of those who might not have heard of Sika before, and then we'll get to know you a little bit better as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a pleasure to do that. So Sika is the world-leading company in construction chemicals. We have been around since 1910. We have been founded in Switzerland. We are present in more than 100 countries, 300 factories, 25,000 employees. We have a dedicated strategy in Africa. We are 19 countries in Africa where we always invest in factories as well. So we are part of this journey to industrialization. And we have founded 10 new companies in sub-Saharan Africa during the last 10 years. And one of these companies was Sika Tanzania in 2015. We started production of admixture, which is the stuff that you put into concrete to make it stronger and to reduce the water, in 2017. And now we just started the production of mortar products at our new site in Sala Sala.
Wow, so truly an African company. Did you just say 19 countries that you're in Africa?
Yes.
Wow, so you've made a heavy investment across the continent. What's it been like setting up in Tanzania? And I believe you mentioned there your Sala Sala factory, which you'll be inaugurating soon. Maybe you can tell us about how that decision is made for such a global company, and how has it been so far?
Now, Sika, as I said, Sika is a worldwide company in more than 100 countries, and we did experience that. I think in the 80s we were investing very early in the Latin American markets, and now we are by far number one in these markets. So it's when you are an early mover, you have a big advantage of being there from the beginning, and you can consolidate your market position. So they looked at Africa, and they were working together with consultancies. They looked at countries of ease doing business and what are the potentials there. And they shortlisted a couple of countries where they wanted to invest. And Tanzania happened to be one of them. So the top management is very clear that Africa is the future for us. We believe in this market and we invest. You know, it's not that we're just here trading. We invest in infrastructure, which means in factories, but also we invest in people. So, for example, when I look at Sika Tanzania, I'm the only foreigner there. So we are all Tanzanians except me, which means that we have people in operations, in research and development, in marketing, in technical sales, which are locals. So these people here have a great opportunity to learn as well, because in a multinational you can learn. They are sent to trainings, we have a lot of support, and so I think it's really, for me, for example, as a young manager, a great story. You're building up something. It's still, I would say, in Tanzania a little bit a startup mentality. Yeah. We're not as much startup as we used to be 5 years ago when the company was founded, but it's still a new company, a very young company. You know, the average age at Sika Tanzania is 34. But we are backed by a big group, so we know what we have to do. But it's startup, so it starts very small, and you learn, and you get more professional. Everybody gets more professional, and this is how you move.
Nice. So glad to hear the story, and it sounds like you're really pushing the agenda of hiring Tanzanians and making sure we have local skills. What's it like now for a global company the size of Sika? You've got staff all across the globe. What's it like integrating all of these different cultures and dimensions that must exist across the group?
I think at Sika we are very proud of our culture. We call it the Sika spirit. And the new CEO, which has been appointed, I think, last spring, just recently gave an interview in one of the leading Swiss newspapers where he was stating that he believes, or he's convinced, that culture can be exported. Sika has shown many times that we can export culture. So What does it mean, exporting culture? I think at Sika we have a very decentralized culture, which is typical for a Swiss company. We are a small country, we don't have a lot of Swiss nationals that can run such a company. So we always had to integrate a lot of people from all different backgrounds, but we let them the maximum amount of freedom, and which creates a very entrepreneurial, let's say, atmosphere in the company. So we are quite free. Of course, we have the products, we know which products we can sell, we have strategies in place, we have all the support functions, but at the end, we are running the business here. You know, we are running it. Yeah. So if I tell to my boss, we need to do this, we need to do that investment, of course I have to make a case, I will not always get what I want, but it's very entrepreneurial. And I think this is what the culture is, decentralized. It is from the bottom, but at the same time you have all the support that you need, and people appreciate this, and also the clients appreciate it, because it makes yourself much more agile, much closer to the customer, because you don't have to approve anything by the headquarters. They trust us. This is actually also our claim, building trust, and they have trust inside the company, which gives us the freedom to be very active and dynamic in the market.
Nice, and this means, I get it, when you're saying you've got a bit of entrepreneurial ground, it means you can make decisions locally here in Tanzania for the Tanzania business. You mentioned an interesting concept of, did you say exporting culture?
Yeah.
So as much as you're exporting culture, you must also be importing culture at times. What's it like? What type of tips can you give to someone who, when you're setting up in a market and joining a multinational company, as a local, wherever it may be, here or elsewhere, what tips do you think they would help them to adjust into such a culture?
I mean, I think the most important thing is, if you're dealing in an international setting and if you have people from different backgrounds, is communication. And every culture has a different way of communicating. You know, you can, for example, classify different cultures. In some cultures are very explicit, other cultures are very implicit. I come from a very explicit culture, which means, like, if you have a meeting and you talk about something, you talk really about this topic, you know. And there are implicit cultures where you don't talk directly about that topic, you talk around and you have to feel, you know. There are cultures that are, let's say, the decision-making process is top-down. Some decision-making process are like including people, or some decision-making processes are a little bit chaotic, other ones are very structured. So there are all countries you can classify into these different areas. Now, what I think is important when you work with different nationalities together is that you make sure that the message that you send is well understood. And you know, if you're communicating, if you say something, for example, you have a couple, you know, you have a husband and a wife sitting in a car, and then they're waiting in front of a red light, and the light turns green, and the husband tells the wife who should drive, it's green. So there's 4 different ways how this wife can understand it. She can understand it on the subject level, which means, okay, it's green, it's a matter of fact. She can understand it as a criticism of her, so you're a bad driver, so don't you see that it's green? She can understand it as an order, drive, or she can understand that her husband wants to signal that he's a better driver. So you always need to make sure that you understand what they're saying. Is it explicit, implicit? There's also explicit, implicit. Yeah. The subject is explicit, but there's maybe a lot of implicit information around, and this is difficult when you deal with cultures. So the way how to deal with it is to actively listen, okay. Which means that when you have a conversation, you try to, you rephrase what the message that he sent, and make sure that what you understand is the same what the other one wanted to say. And I think this is the most important element to succeed, which is not easy, and I'm not far from perfect in this neither. But it's something that I realized as well in Tanzania. Often I talk with people and they don't understand me. Okay. And it's not because of the English, but you know, we think differently. So that's a little bit the challenge. But you have this with every culture.
Yeah. Okay. I love your example of the the green light, just for the record, how would have you taken it if you were the one who was told the light?
Well,
was green?
there is no black and white here. It always depends who is saying in which context. But let's say I'm more an explicit person. Huh? I don't understand so much what's going on implicitly. This is not, I would say, not my strength. Huh? Okay. So I tend to see the message without everything which is around, which is obviously not always the case, especially if you're a supervisor, if you're a boss, if you talk to your colleagues, they see much more going on. So you need to be aware of it.
Okay, and you've just touched on my next question quite well there. We talked about the team adapting to coming into a multinational company, but for someone like yourself as a country manager, maybe you can give us a bit of history, but I assume you've probably worked in a number of countries across the world. What's it like for you every time you step into a new country and you've got to suddenly adjust yourself to this new culture, new people, new ways of working? Can you give us a bit of history and also some of your experience here in Tanzania?
Well, it's first of all, I think the most important thing is that you keep your humor. You have to be, you don't have to take everything too seriously, and you have to take it positive as a challenge to get to know a new country. And I always said, it's easy for us, for me as an expat, for example, to only look at the positive things of Tanzania, because I'm not a national here, so I don't feel like I didn't feel responsible for the things that are not working. It doesn't frustrate me. I have to accept it. It's this is the country it is, and I look at the opportunities. I see, okay, if the business environment is a bit difficult, you have stuff in the port which is blocked, and a lot of things which maybe in other markets are easier. It also means the opportunity that you don't have so much competition. So you have to. I think this positive mindset is the most important thing. Keep the fun. Look at the good things. Don't bother with the bad things, because this puts you into a negative spiral. And the second thing is that, as I said, you need to listen, and you need to reflect. And what I do, for example, I actively seek as well for other people, seek advice. I'm looking for advice for people that I know that understand better what is going on. For example, in our company, I created a core management team where we have very open discussions. Very open discussions. I mean, those which are member of this core management team are not supposed to say anything out, but we have very open discussions and tell, look, how do you see this? How do these employees react? Are there any issues? Because there's a lot of things that you don't see, because unfortunately I don't speak the language, I'm not from the same culture, so I need other people to tell me what they see. And if you have this trust and you have this self-reflection and this optimism, then I think you can adapt. And then there are like tools, that work internationally. How the international practices, how you run a project, how you follow up. And this is, I would say, international standard that can help you a lot to navigate through.
Oh, I love the fact that you're taking it positively. I mean, you mentioned there maybe how delays can actually be seen as a positive thing. Very important, the mindset. I'm sure you've worked in a few other countries before. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about where else you've worked, and we can do a bit of a comparison if you're open to it. Yeah,
I've worked in Switzerland and Tunisia before, so three countries. And comparison is. Well, Switzerland obviously is a very developed country, very organized, very easy of doing business, but also a lot of competition. And Tunisia is different. Tunisia is a country, in northern Africa, which has been industrialized a couple of years ago, but which is not growing at the moment. Hasn't been growing for the last 10 years considerably. So there is a little bit of a negative mood, not a lot of projects there. People go out, try to emigrate. And here in Tanzania, it's a positive mood. People feel that their lives now are better than the lives of their parents, which in Tunisia was not the case. So it's very rewarding to work in a country which is maybe in terms of income per capita not as high, but there's optimism. This, I would say, is one of the big differences. And there are differences in culture. I mean, For example, Tunisians, they don't read emails, they don't reply to emails, and Tanzanians are very good in emails.
Yeah.
So this I was surprised of doing it. Tunisians, for example, are very commercial. Everybody trades, everybody negotiates. This is in their culture.
Yeah.
It's not so much in the culture here.
Yeah.
Something that a lot of people have to learn to negotiate, to try to trade, etc. So these are a little bit the differences, I would say.
Yeah, love it. As a patriot, I love to hear that Tanzania is in a positive mood. As you can see, we keep growing. So much potential here. But you touched upon there now, touching on a few key comparisons. There's a lot of people who aspire to work in a multinational company, such as Sika. What can they do to help themselves to be recruited? What characteristics can they depict to make themselves competitive in this environment?
We develop people. So, for example, we hire a lot of engineers which come out of engineering school, and they were working maybe a couple of years in a construction company, and then we develop them in becoming a sales representative, because it's one thing to be an engineer, but another thing to develop the market. It's not just to sell, it's develop, it's to know which product to launch, what is the pricing, how do you position yourself against the competition, etc. So we're not looking for people that have like a compiled, finished profile. We're looking for potential. Okay. And for potential, a lot of people can come to us, but I think what is important in a multinational setting is that you can, or a multinational company, that you are a good communicator. Yeah. Because communicating is across culture, as you said, it's a bit of an issue, and you need to be transparent. Because multinational companies are 100% or 150% compliant, so we don't want people that are not transparent. You need to communicate. If you have a problem, you need to raise it, and you need to be able to present your case as well. So I think this is a little bit the different, let's say, the different aspects. And of course, if somebody has done some experience abroad, this always helps, because it shows already that he had some adaptation and already had to work on it. But it's not a criteria where we say that's an absolute must criteria.
Yeah, and when you're talking about communication, you said the importance of it. Maybe you could touch a little bit on that. You already explained it's the little things, replying to emails, etc. Anything else that you feel would be key within that communication band?
As a one thing in general is, but this I noted here in this culture in general, is like, if you don't understand, say it. If you don't know, say it, This is a thing that often people they are a little bit afraid to admit if they didn't understand something. So this is really crucial. Yeah. I think it's not only for multinationals, it's just in general an advice, because nobody is perfect. We all do mistakes, and so those that work do mistakes. I do every week, maybe every day. I do mistakes. This is a normal thing. So raise your hand, say, look, either I didn't understand or I screwed it up, need help. Don't come to the last minute and cover up. I think this is it first. And second point is that when you work in a multinational company, from time to time you have the opportunity to present something. For example, you have a CEO visiting, so then you need to be a good presenter. Yeah. Because it's not only in a small company you have maybe the family business, you have the head who knows you, who decides about everything. But in a multinational company, you have a lot of people that have an impact on your career. Yeah. So you need to be able to tell, to be proud, and to be to the point what you have been doing, and tell about your success.
Yes, and it's about taking opportunities, right? If your CEO is visiting, how do you put yourself in the right place at the right time to present? Speaking of your CEO visiting, I believe I'm aware that your CEO from the group will be visiting soon for your inauguration, which is quite exciting, and also a show of confidence really from the group. Can you tell us a little bit about the inauguration, a bit about this new plant, which I believe is high-tech and probably one of the largest in the region in terms of chemical constructions, and how can someone get invited to your inauguration?
Well, to get invited, you find us. Huh? Yeah. So we are it's not a public event, but all those people that are interested and have, that use Sika products, that are specifiers, happy to welcome them in our inauguration. You were rightly mentioning, we are very proud that we can host the CEO. I was joking that Sika Tanzania at the moment represent maybe 0.5% of the global sales of Sika. So, but he takes the time to travel 15 hours to come and inaugurate our plant, which is it's a big honor. And we know that we're not only representing Tanzania, we're representing Africa, because he's a new CEO, first visit in Africa, so he will have this impression. And I always tell to our people, and I tell it also when I'm with government officials, etc., that we are also ambassadors of Tanzania, because we fight for investments at the headquarters. Every year we come and say we want to invest this and this and this, and then they say okay, they need to cut a little bit investments because everybody wants too much. But the fact that he's coming, that he sees the plant, that he sees that we're doing good work, that the plant is clean, in a good order, etc., makes us very excited that they were willing more to invest in us and to invest in Tanzania. So this is about that. And about your question regarding the inauguration. Well, we will have hopefully the Prime Minister joining us if he's available, or other guests of honors, Minister of Trade, CEO you were already mentioning, and we will have the leading, let's say, players of the construction industry, which are construction companies, architects, engineers, government agencies, associations, and it will be a nice event to showcase what we have been doing. And what we are very much focusing on it's to show to everybody that we are Tanzanian. We are a global company, but we run the show here as Sika Tanzania.
It must be high pressure at the office right now.
It's very positive. It's very positive because everybody has now a firm deadline to end all his stuff. We want to surprise everyone, and we will do it.
Nice. I love the fact that you're investing locally, you're looking at the local talent, and you're looking at the local landscape. As a final question, from the eyes of an investor in the country, what do you see for the future of Tanzania as we head into our industrialization?
Well, Tanzania has phenomenal economical, fundamentals. I mean, the population growth. If you look here, for example, the population in Tanzania is growing by 3%. I don't know how much is the percentage growth in Dar es Salaam. It will be around 5%. I know in the municipal area of Zanzibar city, it's 6%. 6% growth. It's a doubling of the population every 12 years. So these people need a lot of housing, a lot of infrastructure. So there's there's so much potential. And I was thinking last time, if you had to choose a country, without people, just where it's really a good spot to live, to build your country, Tanzania is one of it. The climate is phenomenal. You have a beautiful landscape. You have very good agricultural land. You have raw materials, and it's just. I'm convinced that we are on the right track and that there are enormous potential in this country, and very excited to be part of it as an industrial investor, because of course we make money, but I think we develop as well. The products that we sell at the end make the lives better, and that's an exciting story.
Nice one. And for our international guests, what's your final point? Invest or not invest?
Absolutely invest.
Yeah, no question. Thank you. So the next stage of our discussion today is what we call the trivia round, actually. So it's an opportunity to get to know you a little bit. So if you can just share some of the more intimate moments in your life apart from your career, and just give us whatever answer you have that comes to mind first, whatever's first there. I would like to ask, as a child, what was your favorite game?
Zelda. Nintendo 64.
Oh, I've never heard of this. So it's what's the game like?
Well, it's like this little, how do you say it? You're chasing Prince Zelda, and you have this figure called Link that has to go through all these worlds and chase it.
Okay. If you were the happiest person in the world, you would have dot dot dot.
If I was,
Or if you are.
if I am the happiest person of the world, I would be surrounded by family and friends.
Yeah. Okay. Would you rather give up your TV or your phone?
TV.
Yeah? Sorry, TV, phone or your laptop?
Phone.
Phone? Laptop's too key. What is your favorite personal possession?
Pardon?
What is your favorite personal possession?
A possession.
Yeah.
My favorite. I would say it's my guitar.
Okay. What time do you get up in the morning?
Between 5 and 5:30.
What do you do that early?
What people do, taking a shower and eating breakfast.
Yeah. Okay. What is your greatest fear in life?
My greatest fear is to focus too much on work and lose the work-life balance. I think this is something you always have to juggle, which is not so easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can be done. But you need to be aware of it.
Okay. And last one, what would you like your legacy to be?
My legacy is that he left. And everything just continued because everything is fine, everybody's in charge, and they don't need another leader. I made myself obsolete. This I think a leader should do, make
Nice.
yourself obsolete.
Perfect. So your legacy is to make yourself not needed.
Yes.
Wow, nice one. Dennis, I want to thank you for your time here. We've come to the end of the show. You've shared a lot. It's been really interesting to get your perspective. I leave it to you to give the final word of the show today.
Well, not much to say. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and I hope that everybody watching this will pay a little bit more attention to what kind of products are around. Maybe you see our products, and we are happy to meet those which are interested. Thank you so much.
Thank you.